Okay, so never really had, the speedo has never worked on this bike since I had it new. I think I mentioned that in one of my earlier videos. And I put on a bicycle speedometer, an electronic bicycle speedometer that just used a sensor on one of the spokes with a Hall effect sensor there to get the speed. And it just worked really well, but I thought, well, I got this apart here, so I was going to polish up the case on this speedometer drive. And I was going to wash it out and put some new grease in. I got the fitting taken off up here. So when I cleaned out the blobs and blobs of grease in here and I started to turn it, it's really stiff, and you can kind of hear like it's got a little bit of scratchiness inside there. So I'm thinking this guy is it's got some dirt in it. So I went online and had a look at how these go together, and I've never taken one apart. There's a worm gear that goes in here. This end just pops on. It's just a friction fit with some with like a knurling on it, and the same thing on this end. It's just a friction fit. So there's this end goes in. There's like a washer, a small round washer. Then your worm drive with the shaft goes in. The end that the speedometer cabling fits onto, it's kind of a grooved end, is on this end. Another washer, and then this guy. And then here, this part here, which hooks into the two spaces on the wheel that spins as the wheel spins. They just catch these two, just catches these two dogs. On the outside ring of that is a gear. So I don't know if the gear is messed up. Maybe it's worn off. I don't know if this one, the worm gear, is. I suspect this ring gear is rather than the worm gear, but I have to take it apart to have a look. So anyway, going online and having a look at how these things go together. Most of these are, this is kind of a Smith's pattern. It's a Smith's Old English speedometer and instrumentation company. They made speedometers and tachometers for all these old British bikes. And the Indians just copied this guy over. And that's what it basically is. Most of them had there's like a retaining ring here. Really, you shouldn't need this. It should just it should be unnecessary, but they got it. But the nice thing is most of them are riveted on with 4 rivets, but this one's got screws, tiny little screws. So I should be able to pop those out, take that off, and pop out this. This is pressed in this ring here. I should be able to pop that out and then just remove the ring gear that's underneath. That's got those 2 dogs on it. And then for these guys, I have to figure out how to do this. But one forum, I went and did a little bit of reading on a Brit Bike forum and did a little bit of reading on a Norton owners forum. And one guy said that you could pop this one up a little bit, just enough to get it to pry out, by going in with something small and just giving it a couple of whacks. So I've got an old screwdriver. It was a small screwdriver. I kind of modified the end. I sharpened up the end a little bit, and I use it for prying really small things. So I might just give this a couple of gentle pokes to see if this comes out a little bit. And if it does, then great. Then I'll take this apart and I'll be able to get the worm gear out. Same thing, because once I get this one off, the worm gear should come out, and I should be able to get this end off a lot easier, because I can go through with a little bit bigger punch and punch this guy out. So anyway, so it's been bathed in paint thinner now to get the grease off it, so it's slippery as heck. Well, let's see if I can start to get this thing apart. So I'm going to start with the screws in there. See how I do. And that's a small slot. Small slot. Luckily I've got a set of small screwdrivers to go in the small slot. Tell ya. And one thing I gotta remember to do is just hold this one. I'm gonna get this guy out and then I'm gonna hold it back up. I'll hold it back up just so I get a good picture of how this thing looks. So there's one small screw out. I'll put that in my little magnetic tray so it doesn't disappear. So anyway, so this is it. This is what it looks like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these screws out and continue working on it. You guys don't need to watch me work on it, but I'll work on getting it apart and see how I make out. Okay.